You may remember Donald Trump signed the Alien Enemies Act of 1789 and took 250 supposed Venezuelan gang members and deported them to El Salvador. Now, this was a big deal because he signed it in the middle of the night, loaded up two planes, sent them, and then quickly a judge essentially ordered him to turn around the planes, and the Trump administration didn't listen to the judge. Now, we have seen a willingness in this administration, in a very scary time in American history, to question the judicial branch's authenticity, often saying, either we have the right to ignore judges or we should impeach these judges. Some really gross attacks on just our basic democracy and what makes America function. And so there was actually a reporter from the Times who was on the ground or on one of these flights to witness what was happening to these Venezuelans who were deported to El Salvador. And this is a really good article. I would recommend you check it out. It's pretty intense and gives some great detail. But what we notice in this, as this journalist is talking about what's going on, she says, I believe she says, the intake began with slaps. One young man sobbed when a guard pushed him to the floor. He said, quote, "I'm not a gang member. I'm gay. I'm a barber," end quote. I believed him, but maybe it's only because he didn't look like what I had expected. He wasn't a tattooed monster. Now, this got a lot of press because it actually turns out that that man we found the identity of, and he was falsely accused by the Trump administration of being a Venezuelan gang member. He's actually here legally. He was seeking asylum under the Biden administration, was not part of a gang, and no due process, just taken from the street, loaded onto a plane, and sent to this prison that is a literal hellhole. I mean, you can go read this Time article, but no due process. Once you're here, you cannot talk to anybody on the phone. You're in a completely different country. They entered their cold cells, 80 men per cell, with steel planks for bunks, no mats, no sheets, no pillow, no television, no books, no talking, no phone calls, and no visitors. And so we saw actually Rachel Maddow do some great reporting on this. Gay Venezuelan asylum seeker, quote, disappeared to Salvadorian mega prison under Trump order. And so we found out that young gay Venezuelan man from the Times report was deported without due process under the Trump administration, and he was identified publicly. His name is Andreas, I believe. He's 23 years old. He's a makeup artist, and again, he's vanished. And Lindsay, who I believe is this man's lawyer, identified the man only by his first name, shared photos of the 23-year-old on the Rachel Maddow show. The advocate is not using his last name due to concerns over his safety. And she said that the Trump administration forcibly removed her client from the United States without a court hearing or deportation order. She explained that her team decided to share his identity because the government had already disclosed it in an internal document. Quote, "Names and identities of people have been shared today via a list," she said. And so we know that it is inevitable that our client will be identified, and we feel it's important to let the world know who Andreas, our client, is, because he is a human being. He's a young professional from Venezuela. He's a makeup artist. He is a gay man. Andreas had arrived in the U.S. seeking asylum. His lawyer said he was detained after immigration officials flagged his tattoos as possible signs of gang affiliation, a claim his attorney said is unfounded. These are not tattoos of somebody who's involved with gangs. These are normal tattoos you would see on anybody at a coffee shop anywhere in the United States or Venezuela. And here's the thing. Conservatives have tried to make this argument about that Democrats want gang members in the country. It's actually not about that. If you're a principled human being, the accusations themselves don't actually matter. Like, I don't care. To be completely frank, I don't care what tattoos the guy or the girl or whoever has on them. It is never acceptable in this country to essentially detain someone and then not allow them due process. That is blatantly unconstitutional. It's absurd. And Republicans are going to, again, make this, well, you want gang members? No. I believe in the right for everybody to have due process, no matter if we're all on a giant manhunt for the worst person in existence and we find that person. I don't think that we should be able to load them on a plane and send them to Guantanamo Bay and never hear from them again. It's not what America's about, right? And this is very clearly a slippery slope of unconstitutional garbage. If anybody can just be loaded onto a plane under the accusation that they have gang-like tattoos and sent to a El Salvadorian prison where they can't make a phone call. It's grossly disgusting. This right here, A, is obviously morally abhorrent, but B, this would be, in any normal time, the biggest scandal of any administration in American history. But I'm being serious, not hyperbolic. It's another fucking Friday, excuse my language, in the Trump administration. This is normal stuff. This makes Watergate look like Who cares? And so going back about how this man was actually deported. So again, this was a big deal. This is a article by Axios from last week. The Trump administration says it ignored a Saturday court order to turn around 2 plane loads of alleged Venezuelan gang members. So Andreas was on one of these flights because the flights were over international water, and therefore the ruling didn't apply. The administration's decision to defy a federal judge's order is exceedingly rare and highly controversial. And so it talks a little bit about the reporting inside the White House about why they decided to do this. And so, how it happened, White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller orchestrated the process in the West Wing in tandem with Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. Few outside their teams knew what was happening. They didn't actually set out to defy a court order. Quote, "We wanted them on the ground first before a judge could get the case, but this is how it worked out," said the official. The president signed the executive order involving the Alien Enemies Act on Friday night, but intentionally did not advertise it. On Saturday morning, word of the order leaked, officials said, prompting a mad scramble to get the planes in the air. The planes were in the air at 2:31 p.m. Saturday. An immigration activist who tracks deportation flights, 2 highly unusual ICE flights, were departing from Texas to El Salvador. Hours later, during a court hearing filed by the ACLU, the judge ordered a halt of the deportations and said any flight should be turned around midair. Quote, "This is something that you need to make sure is complied with immediately," he told the Justice Department, according to the Washington Post. At that point, 6:51, both flights were off the Yucatan Peninsula, according to the flight pass posted on Twitter. And then the White House essentially discussed whether it was wrong or right to turn back the flights. And they said, the White House decided that since they were over international waters, they didn't have to turn over the flights, which again is just absurd. And right now, again, Andreas is still there right now as I make this video, Saturday, March 22nd. You know, it's stories like these that just shatter your heart with the Trump administration, and there's just no words. And it's a combination of not only the gross morality of this, but obviously combined with, again, no due process. Our functioning democracy is starting to really, really take some blows. The judicial system is really starting to show some cracks because, you know, if you have an executive branch led by an executive who doesn't believe in the Constitution and he hand selects a bunch of loyalists who also don't care about the Constitution, they don't feel a need often to listen to federal judges. Remember, all judges do, all the judicial system does, is slide over a piece of paper. That's it. The only reason our checks and balances work is because people respect them, right? Like, so if you have an executive branch that just decides, you know what, we're just going to enforce the law anyway, see what the judge is going to do about it? Nothing. Famously, this would be Andrew Jackson, right? The Trail of Tears. The Supreme Court said he couldn't do it, and he famously said something to the effect, I believe, of, you know, well, I'd like to see you enforce that, because the judicial system doesn't have an enforcement mechanism. And so this is why it's really, 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 really fucking dangerous to elect somebody who doesn't care about our Constitution. I really hope more people talk about this. I really, my wishes go out to, or my best, goes out to Andreas, or Andre, and his family. And I really hope that, you know, the ACLU and anything keeps pushing this in court, and anything we can do to get answers happens. Listen, if you enjoyed this video, you can let me know down below. It'd mean a lot if you subscribed. I try to bring stories like this on my YouTube channel. So if you subscribe and hit like, it goes a really, really, really long way. Again, as I record this Saturday, March 22nd, I hope you have a good weekend. And remember, a lot of this stuff can get exhausting, so it's always okay to take a break. Take care of yourself. I'm proud of you for going through these hard times. We're going to get through them together. There's link in the bio to all my other social media accounts. And yeah, I will see you in the next video.